We've also learned that being the safe person comes with cost. And what do we gain from being someone people call when everything else falls apart? Today, we're talking about both.
Welcome to Gold in the Grit, a podcast about real life, real relationships, and the meaning hiding in the mess.
We're Audrey and Kristen, sisters, therapists, lifelong listeners, and deeply trustworthy secret keepers. Over the years, we have had a lot of conversations with each other, being this person for a lot of other people and the toll that it can take on us, but also the golden nuggets that we've gotten from it as well. We know that some of our listeners can relate and that they might also be the person that everybody goes to or the one that is the confidant. So when you think about going through the journey of that, when do you think was a moment in your life where you realized that you were that person?
I mean, even as young as elementary school, we went to a really small Catholic school. And so there were, I think, 8 girls in my class. And even though everybody was really same with like socioeconomic status, same religious beliefs, I mean, we wore uniforms. So it's not like I could say, hey, your outfit's better than mine. But there were 2 different cliques in my class. And I was friends with both sides, and both sets of girls were telling me really personal things, but then saying, well, don't tell them. And I think it just kind of carried over from there. In high school, I kind of was everybody's friend, but I've always felt like everybody's told me stuff, but I am not sharing those same intimate things with the people that are sharing with me. So I guess deciphering what a relationship means when one person feels really, really comfortable telling you all of their secrets, and then you sit back and you're like, I probably wouldn't share that with you. And it's not to be mean or negative. That's been ongoing throughout life. I mean, I go to the grocery store and I ask the clerk how they're doing. And all of a sudden, I know that they're going to have to put their dog down next week. And it's been the worst day of their life. But what we're talking about, it's beautiful too. It's nice to be able to give that to somebody, but it's not free.
No, it's definitely not free. There are certain things about a person that makes them magnetic, even if it's at the grocery store. And we'll get into some of the strangest moments where
Mm-hmm.
other people have shared things to us that we weren't expecting. But there's something about the safety of a person when you're around them, how that feels comfortable for people to share. And we don't always know why. It's happened for both of us throughout our entire lives. I have
Right.
memories of in elementary school being the one that people would come to with the deep stuff
Right.
and the secrets and say, I don't want to tell anybody else about this. You're the only person that I feel comfortable to share this with. And I don't think that as a young child, I realized that that was happening, that I was a safe person for people, but I didn't really put much thought behind it. And I remember very clearly there being a moment of separation where I had attempted to share with some of my very close friends that at the time our parents were getting a divorce. And instead of being met with compassion and kindness, I got a fake story from another friend saying that her parents were also getting a divorce and
Oh.
she knew how I was feeling and we could talk about it, only to find out that that actually was a lie. And then they were laughing about it as if that was funny. So
I
there was
actually didn't
this.
know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, so we'll talk about names later.
Well, we're not going to divulge names, right? Because that's not the intention, but that was a defining moment for me of recognizing there were going to be very few people in my life that I could trust with my deep things and that
Mhm.
they would be honored in the same way that I honored that for others. So that was a really, really pivotal moment for me. And in middle school, I had a friend that had been telling me some things, and this wasn't even somebody that I was really that close with. He was like, Audrey, please don't tell anybody else about this. I just feel like you're somebody that I could come and talk to, and I just knew I could trust that you wouldn't tell anybody else about it. And in that moment, it clicked for me. This is probably part of my purpose, that I will be this for other people. And
Mhm.
then in high school, when I took my first psychology and sociology classes, everything clicked. This is my path. This is how everything makes sense. I wanted to make sense of my own life. And we've talked about that too. That journey hasn't ever really stopped. You probably are more so in your life now. I have really stepped back and put up some big boundaries for
Yeah,
myself, where I'm not taking as much of that in anymore, and I've needed that just because of the things going on in my life personally, and you probably have
right.
too, but I think you're still more in that than I am.
Yeah, it's definitely for me a bit of a pattern I probably need to break, but it's almost like there's some validation that comes from being a trusted person. And that's just how I think we've both identified ourselves for so long. And so it's really hard to break away from an identity that you've had for, you know, I mean, I'm 41 and this has really been going on for probably 35 years, right?
Hmm.
I do work on boundaries and stuff, but it's definitely a progress in the making, especially realizing that I don't take that same opportunity to disclose things to people. I mean, you know that. And so, just touching back on your topic of telling your friend about a divorce, I don't think I talked to any of my friends about it or
Well,
about
I
dad.
didn't talk to any of them about that afterwards.
I
Right,
wouldn't have.
definitely.
I wouldn't have either.
Well, and the reality is that, as we talk about it, yes, there are the things that you have to carry in being
Hmm.
that person. And as I said, I've had to put up stronger boundaries in
Hmm.
that for myself. But at the same time, it can be hard to fully step away from that, because inherently, I think it's part of who we are.
Hmm.
And also, sometimes being this safe person for others feels kind of like it's an honor to be that
Yeah.
person that they fully trust, and
Hmm.
that you can hold that space and give them, the ability to be seen in their moment.
Right.
And really, when it comes down to it, for a lot of people, they just want to be seen, right?
Right.
And so when you can provide that for a person, it's hard to fully step away from it. I mean, when I think about some of the moments that other people have shared things with me that I know are so deeply painful or heavy or hard for them, and they have said to me, you literally are the only person that I feel comfortable talking to about this, or that I have shared this with, then you do feel that sense of, okay, this is a gift. And if I have this gift, then I don't want to shut that off. But it can also be, you can carry, I think for many years, we've both maybe carried the weight of some other people's pain. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I think about it after somebody shares something with me. Sometimes I go to bed and I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm thinking about this heavy thing that somebody shared with me. And so then I'll lay awake for 2 hours just thinking about this. And so then that affects my sleep, and then it affects the next day, and then it affects my ability to do my job and take care of myself also. And that's not anything that that person intended. It's just,
mhm,
I think to myself, what could I do to help them to fix this? But it's just coming to a realization that the person didn't tell me that because they wanted me to fix it. They just needed to get it off their chest. All I need to do is I just need to be there. I need to listen to it, and then I need to just brush it off and carry on with my day. But that's hard.
Well, I think that in our 40 years, we've gained some wisdom with it, that we don't need to fix it, and that there
Right.
really is a lot of power just in presence. I have over the years learned ways to separate other people's things from me. And some of
Right.
that is energetic process of just like
Mhm.
separating and clearing that off, but it's also a really intentional process that we always have to have with us in the therapy space. There can be a lot of times where we are taking on this vicarious trauma, which is where it's not directly your trauma, but you
Mhm.
kind of take in some of that by hearing other people's experiences. And the
Yeah.
amount that both of us have heard throughout the therapy realm has been significant. And I remember the times where I was not able to fully separate that. And it just
Absolutely.
felt so heavy.
Yeah. Very, very heavy. I do feel really grateful for the gift of being able to essentially give somebody peace of mind to help them feel seen. I do think that as we've gained some wisdom, it has been really important to take a step back from that and then looking at friend groups and family groupings as well, and just kind of saying, okay, well, this is something that I'm willing to give to this group of people or to this person. And if that's not okay with them anymore and they continue to want more from me, then maybe it's time for me to reevaluate that relationship. And that's
Hmm.
been really hard because there are some people that I've cut out of my life that I have genuinely cared for and have had a lot of fun with. But when you take a step back and you're like, I haven't heard from this person one time in the last 5 years, them asking me how I'm doing or what I have going on. They're just contacting me when they're having a problem. And I'm constantly giving feedback on what this person can do to fix this problem. I'm not gaining anything from the relationship except for just feeling really drained and really tired.
Hmm.
And it's sad. I mean, I grieved those losses, and I'm sure that you have too. And I don't know that people on the other side of it always understand that that's what's happening.
Right. No, I don't think that they always are, and it can be kind of a lonely experience. I think we're that for each other, but there is grief within it because as we've gotten older and we've looked at some of those relationships, there have been some of those people that it's not ever reciprocated. And
Right.
if you look back through the text thread, it is only ever them reaching out, hey, I have a problem. Hey, can I have your opinion on this? Hey, can you help me with this? Hey,
Right.
this happened. And while you can do that for a period of time, when that person never reaches out to see how you're doing or knows that you have certain things going on in your life and still don't reach out to offer that support in a reciprocal way, then sometimes you do have to make that decision. And I think for us, it isn't just being a comfortable friend. There's also this awareness that we do have the psychology background, we do have the therapy background. And so there can be a lot of times where people might have some of that tendency to um, ask us to be in that therapy role
Right.
when,
It's not
you
time for
know,
that.
yeah, or it gets to a point where it doesn't even feel like a friendship for us anymore. It feels like we're just giving therapy to this person and being sometimes taken for granted within
Right.
that.
Well, and I try to think from both perspectives of it. Sometimes people think, well, if Kristen needed something, I would be there for her, but I don't feel comfortable asking that person, or that I just never would choose that person to talk to. And maybe it's because of ways that they have talked about experiences that I've tried to share with them. And so I just don't feel comfortable. But a lot of times people don't realize the impact. Yes, it is free to listen. However, I would not call you and ask you to cut my hair for free. That's your profession. I wouldn't ask you to do my taxes for free because I know that that's a paid service. So it is really hard when you are in the mental health field. I don't think that most people do it on purpose. They're just like, "Oh, I know this person that's has all of this experience and it would be great to talk to them about it."
which is understandable, right? I think that we have the ability to hold the space and to give perspective. And so it probably feels more helpful to process that with us than with a lot of other people. Sometimes it's learning in that moment to be able to say, I do want to be there for this person. I want to be present for what they're talking about. And also, I don't have the capacity for that right now.
Right.
Can we talk at another time? And
Ah,
so, even just learning to recognize that it doesn't always have to happen right now. We've had a lot of things going on in our own lives, and sometimes we need to become the priority for ourselves. And that
right.
can bring a little bit of discomfort, but also it's been extremely helpful along the way. There's this light for people when they're in the darkness and they want to find their way to the lighthouse. But just because it's there doesn't mean that everybody gets to come inside. There still maybe needs to be a fortress around it or some fencing or some boulders around it. And then you get to decide who comes into that. And so that's been an important analogy for me to think of. And not that I'm this all knowing being and all, it's not that, but it is the reality that a lot of people are going to want to come to you. So we think about these strange moments where people have been like, i'm going to I'm going to talk to you about this. I remember when I had gone to a new nail salon, and this woman, as soon as I got in there, she asked me what I did for a living. And I told her that I was a therapist. And next thing I know, what is meant to be a self care moment for me to get my nails done
Hmm.
turns into a therapy session for her, where
Yes.
she's talking about her divorce and still being in love with her ex-husband and what should she do and asking for my advice. And I'm like, this is literally the first time I've met you. I'm here paying you for your service, and you're asking me to give you this service of therapy for free during my self-care time. And
Right.
so
What did you do?
I mean,
You listened. I know you
I
did.
listened. I listened and I validated her. and
And then at the end, did you
and
say that's free, right?
and no, I didn't, but I should have. And needless to say, I never went back. But it was a moment of realization for me that I prefer not to disclose my profession, because
Yeah.
that is what happens. Automatically, people are like, oh, you can either give me this advice or it's, oh, you're psychoanalyzing me right now.
Right. So I went to a therapist at one point and I was talking to her about the difficulty of that. And she said, when I go to a party and people ask me what I do, if I do disclose to them, as soon as they start saying, are you psychoanalyzing me? I just look at them and I say, well, are you paying me? Because if you're not, then no, I'm not working right now. We do enjoy things. We're not always
we
watching.
we do enjoy just having social engagements ourselves, right? We're not always on just because we're a therapist. We do still kind of always have a little bit of therapy brain. It's
Right.
exhausting to always be on.
I don't know who else I would feel comfortable calling and being like, ugh, people are just talking to me everywhere, because it's not a bad thing that people choose you to talk about those things with. And I think about listeners, neither one of us are saying that we hate it when people talk to us about things or when our friends come to us for stuff. It's the ability to set boundaries and our journey on how we're adapting now that we've been in the field for so long, because I think some of the changes that we're making in just our everyday life are applicable to anybody and not just people that have burnout from being a therapist. It's managing relationships in general, because this isn't exclusive to us. There
Right.
are plenty of people that are that person for everybody.
Oh, absolutely. I would say, hairstylists, they often say,
Masseuses, estheticians.
yeah, you're just trading. There are a lot of places where that happens. And I'm sure that we're not the only ones that experience this. It's about making the distinction between I can do this and when do I want to? Because there are those moments with people where we step into it because we really truly want to.
Right.
Looking at it now, there are a lot of things that we've gained from it,
Right.
a lot of perspectives.
Hmm.
So it's not always this heavy thing. There's gold within that too. So we get to have this deep level of connection with other people. We get to see them in a way that most people don't. And that's a really intimate thing to be able to see people in that really true, deep, authentic way. And
Right.
that can be a gift.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think of the stories that I've gotten to hear, and as a storyteller, which I'm
We
definitely a
both
story.
are. We both
Yeah,
are. It's all over in my human design chart that
right,
I am made for storytelling, and I'm
right.
sure you are too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know which one of us is a worse storyteller. I mean,
Probably you.
it gets a little lengthy from time to time, but hearing other people's stories, I have gained their experience too. And when I'm going to make a decision about something, I'm able to pull from that memory bank and say, this is what happened to them. So, how can I apply it a little bit differently so that I have a different experience than what they had?
I think too, it can give us the ability to hold the paradox. So when you are seeing all of the intricacies of a person's grit, we'll say, the mess that life can be sometimes, you
Right.
also can see the beauty within it and the things that they are learning about themselves, the journey that they go on in their relationships, how they come out at the other side. So there have been times where people do shitty things and they're a bad person, right? Sometimes that can be the perspective with it. And I am quick to go into the helicopter view and let
Right.
me look from up here and see not only that person and what they did, but also what has happened to them and what has been their
Right.
experience and what's their environment and what are they navigating in their life and what are their relationships and what do those look like. And so within that, I am able to look at it from a very different perspective.
Well, and it's important with that perspective, separating the bad act with from the person when you can give kind of some clarity in what matters in this situation and you can look at it from that person's perspective and why this might have happened and what they could have meant by it, then being able to like give it a voice when the guys are coming home and they're like, this person fucking sucks and I'm so mad at them and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, well, they have this going on.
To be less judgmental
Yeah. And
about
I think
things.
it gives a little bit more beauty to this situation. We can accept this person. We don't have to hang out with them outside of work.
Yeah, we can be a little bit more neutral about it. It doesn't
Right.
have to be good or bad. Let's just look at the entire thing for all of the pieces in between. Because maybe it's not either or, it's both and,
Right.
right? Which so many things in life are. And I think for me, more recently, with working at this nonprofit, helping people navigate cancer and grief, it has really shifted for me to get a very clear sense of what matters. The people in that space can be trusting with really deep stuff. And that ability to be the person that's holding that space with them takes away all of the superficial things that really don't matter and has brought so much gratitude into my life. When I come home, I look around and I see so many of my blessings. My children are healthy and my husband is healthy and I'm healthy and we have had a lot of experience with cancer and grief in our own story, which is a whole different episode. But to hear those things and what people are navigating in the real stuff, I think
Right.
that's been an important shift for me because when I was in the private practice therapy, there were certain times where people would just get stuck in
Hmm.
some of those superficial things that they
Right.
weren't able to move out of. And it could be hard to hear that same thing over and over when people
Hmm.
won't get themselves unstuck.
Right.
And
The way that you talk about it, it sounds like the people you're working with now, because of the trauma of cancer, that they have a different appreciation for everything else. And there's a different ability to move through things
mhm.
because the small things don't matter as much anymore.
Yeah, it seems to build up the resiliency
Hmm.
in these people in such a profound way. They're
Right.
so much more clearly able to see that doesn't matter. That frustration with my partner or my spouse really doesn't matter.
Right.
And I know that I have a limited amount of time with them. When I see those things, I have so much more appreciation because
Right.
then it's not just the vicarious trauma that we experience, it's also vicarious growth.
Right.
And so when we see other people going through these things and the perspective that they have and the wisdom that they can share in
Hmm.
it, I have had so much vicarious growth in the 8 months that I have been in that space. Well, and in this little nugget, I truly believe, without getting too much into it, but from our history of cancer in our family on both sides, with the hereditary gene for the ovarian cancer and
Hmm.
grandma dying from it and great grandma dying from it, and so many of the women in our family having to have hysterectomies, I very much feel like grandma had a hand in helping to lead me there. Her presence is very much with me also while I'm sitting in that room with those
Yeah.
people, and that it's also helping to heal some of our generational trauma.
Yeah.
And for that, I'm also extremely grateful.
I mean, that's a pretty beautiful perspective. It's the gold in the grit, baby.
Exactly. I mean, that's something in our family that has caused
Yeah.
so much pain for so many people. Now take that and really find the gold in it.
Hmm.
I mean, it just feels really like one of those full circle moments.
Right.
And that I'm doing that healing, not just for me, but for the members that come there, but also for our family line. So that's probably a whole other episode too. We are hopeful that you guys have gotten some nuggets within this that could be helpful for you to think about or a new perspective. And it's okay for you to sometimes be tired or to have your own things going on that
Hmm.
you need to prioritize.
Hmm.
We don't have to have it all figured out. We're still looking for the gold ourselves, still
Right.
trying to laugh along the way.
Yes.
Until next time, thanks for joining Gold in the Grit with the Shrink Sisters.